evening live stream show right here on Facebook at Star Nation's organization's main fan page. And tonight is Tuesday, March 17th. So we have to say happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone who celebrates that particular day, that particular holiday. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you. I know this one is a little bit different than the ones in the past, I would imagine, right? For those who celebrate with having to stay close to home, right? I think even a lot of the St. Patrick Day gatherings and stuff were canceled for today. So we had to do something right here at home, right? And so Paul and I did. We had corned beef and cabbage. You know, it was one of my mom's favorite meals, and it was pretty good. We didn't do the German meal or the Mexican meal or the Native American meal today. We did the Irish meal today. So welcome, everybody. Welcome all of those that are in the live chat with me. Thank you so much for being with me this evening. And also those that'll be watching the recorded show, thank you for making time in your day to be with us too. Tonight's show is all about our creative energy. Yeah. You know, it's been kind of on a roll because of the classes that we're teaching online. And it's just been, the word manifesting has just been in the air with us here at Star Nations since probably January, late December. And so, you know, when I was sitting down to look at what do we want to talk about tonight, and talking about it with my spiritual team, one of the things that they showed me was the cover of a book that I just recently listened to, and it's called Creative Fire by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And so I thought, okay, we want to talk about the creative fire. What is that about? And so basically they were asking me the questions of, how does your creative fire present itself? In other words, how do you use your creative energy, and how does it look on the physical world, right? And also, are you claiming your creative fire? I had to stop it and think about that one a little bit. Are you claiming your creative fire? And quite honestly, as Julie Hedges would say, transparency. I would say that is at least 88% of the time I am. There is a percentage there that it's like I still kind of think, oh, I don't know about that one. And so that creative fire. So those are the questions I'm posing back to you this evening. How does your creative fire present itself to the world? And are you claiming your creative fire? Right? We're going to talk a little bit about that. The book that I listened to, The Creative Fire, was really, really good. She comes from a background, the author does, where she is, she's a Latina. And so you can kind of hear her stories when they come out. It certainly is about her cultural background. And I think that's one of the many reasons I like this author. But she's also known as the keeper of the old stories. And of course, when you hear something like that, you just have to lean in a little bit and say, what's that all about, right? I know. So let's take a look who's in the house before we get rolling. And also inviting you to, if you know of somebody who might be interested in the show, to send it over to them, whether it's just to a friend and Messenger, or maybe going over to your own personal page, right? Is just to let people know, right? That would be helpful. Hey, Barbara's here. Hey, Barb. It's good to have you here, Barbara. It's good to talk to you earlier this week, too. Rob is saying, things are dire when the bars are closed on St. Patrick's Day. Yeah, it's a big change, right? It's a huge shift in energy, I would say. And hey, Barbie's here. Hello, Barbie. Good to have you in the house, lady. Good to have you here. And Martina's here too. You're not in Florida? Rob, not in Florida. Oh, okay. Where are you? No, don't say that. I forget we're really public here. You don't have to tell me that. I'm just glad that you're with us. Oh, hey, Rob. They are in the Midwest. Oh, you mean the bars. Yeah. Yeah, Chicago is probably Chicago, and for us here and in Wisconsin, where I'm from, Milwaukee most definitely has the bigger parties and parades and that sort of thing. Rob is saying knockwurst tacos and pork gravy on nachos. Oh, heck. I don't think so. Not for this diabetic. No way. Andrew's here too. Hello, Andrew. Good to have you in the house, guy. Good to have you here. All right. Yay, good to have. And Lisa's here too. She said, I like this. And hello, all you beautiful people. Well, hello, right back to you, beautiful lady. Good to have you in the house. Good to have you here. And I'm going to take a sip of water here. Yum, water. Okay, so tonight's show is all about our creative energy, right? And I have to admit, when my team brought me this topic, I was thinking, really, with everything that's going on in the world, that's what we're going to talk about is our creative fire. And I can understand after spending some time with it why Spirit would like us to talk about and to share about, to have this conversation about our inner creative fire. It's in times like these that literally many people are shifted out of their normal everyday kind of path, right? Most people, including us here at Star Nations community, we get into a certain routine, right? We get into a certain routine, and our days pretty much are pretty smooth considering, right? Life. But in the last week or two, and for some people a lot longer than that, normal isn't normal anymore, right? Many people have their kids at home. Many people who have elderly parents, and maybe they're in a group home or a nursing home or assisted living or something like that. We can't go see them the way that we would normally go see them because they're protective of their residents and the virus, right? So our norm is not the norm. We've been kind of moved, nudged off from that paradigm, right? And so I can understand why my team wanted us to have this conversation tonight, because even though we may have our rhythm a bit different, now is the time. Now is the time to recognize and to tap into certain energies that we naturally carry, right? That are gifts that we came in with. Many of them are coming not just to the surface, and maybe, in the past or the recent past, we might have even still been in the spiritual closet over some of them, right? And these days, it's like you really are needing to not just to apply, but to really embrace your authentic self, right? Because we're literally no longer in our normal groove in many ways, and so our creativeness comes to the surface, right? In fact, it just happened tonight. We found out through email that Georgie's doggy daycare, they're closed as of 6 o'clock tonight for at least 2 weeks. Okay. And I know this, they're going, oh, come on, it's doggy daycare. But George looks forward to his 3 days there. I look forward to him having his 3 days there because he comes home and you can tell he's played really hard, right? So Paul and I were talking about, so how do we do this? How do we step up what we do for George, and and fitting that into an already busy day when he's normally gone, right? And so we were talking about that, and we got creative. And so Paul just got back. He took George to one of the dog parks here, and just to check it out, right? And because we haven't had him there in quite some time. And of course, who was there? but a couple of George's buddies that he hangs out with at doggy daycare. And so, you have to get a little creative. And in some other cases, you might have to get really creative, especially if you have young kids at home and you have to, find some way to entertain or to keep them busy, right? So that they have a productive day too, right? An enjoyable day too. All right. So that is the reason why we're going to be talking about our inner fire, and through the filter or through the lens of Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Yeah, because I love that book. It's called Creative Fire. So I listened to it on audiobooks, and I would recommend that, because one of the things that she said in there that I just kind of thought, that's a different way of looking at it, and that is, we really don't have creative blocks. We don't have that. Our creativity is always there. It never goes away, which means that our creativity is so connected to our intuition, because even though, let's say, you're clairvoyant and you haven't embraced that gift yet, right? And I've heard people say this is, maybe they got surprised or scared when they were younger, right? And so what they said is they just turned it off. You can never turn it off. You can turn it down, you can dial it down, but you can never turn it off. It's always there, always. And so is our creativity. So is our creativity. In fact, we're just going to call her Clarissa. Like, I know her personally, right? Clarissa was talking about something that I recognize the word. I recognize the word because I heard my dad say it a few times. And it's a Spanish word. And it means like an ember. An ember. Like, embers in a fire, right? And the word is abuende, Abuenda. NDE, sorry, NDE, abuende. And it means it's a small ember. It's a small ember. And that ember can be fanned, can be given some oxygen to reignite, to fan into a flame, right? Abuende. It's mystical. She calls it mystical, a mystical substance. And many times that is the part of us that is hidden. Sometimes we do it to ourselves, right? And other times it's hidden possibly because we were, that inner critic, or maybe it was an outside critic. Maybe it was a family member that was telling you that, oh, you can't do that, or you can't draw, you can't be an artist, or there's a better one than that, you can't make any money at that, so go and study something else. Do something that you can get a real job, right? Yeah. And so sometimes that kind of pushes our creativity and represses it, suppresses it, right? But it can never put it out. It's always there. It's always there. And so that's the part that we want to talk about tonight. We want to talk about that one. That's the one that the question to you is, that I place to you, right? Is, how does your creative fire present itself? Right. Even if it's one of those that is suppressed or repressed, because it's going to come out somehow. And so how does it present itself in your life, out there in the world? Okay. Yeah. And have you embraced your inner fire, your inner creativity? Right? Yeah. Sometimes I think that we find ourselves thinking that we have to embrace it in a way that's a hobby, right? And when it's a hobby, sometimes people think that you don't take it seriously because it's a hobby, right? And there's others that, out there fully embracing it. They're published authors. They're artists that are, have showings all over the world, right? And you can definitely see that they have embraced their creativity. And then there's the rest of us that we might actually embrace it, but we call it something else, right? I'm trying to think of something that in our jobs, our 9 to 5s, right? Sometimes we think that, oh, they're just a 9 to 5, but we can get really creative in those 9 to 5s, can't we? Yeah, I certainly have. And it's kind of like, it's a challenging game sometimes to be able to be creative in a 9 to 5 when you work for the government, right? Yeah, I know how to write like you wouldn't believe. I know how to write without putting any piece of me in there. I was trained how to do that, right? And so taking that creative force and putting it out there in a way that some people would say that it wasn't creative at all, but it was. It was how the tools I had to create in order to be able to do that. And so it does come out. It does come out. So let's get caught up with people in the chat, Rob, okay? Lisa's saying, does creative fire have to do with focus? Yes and no. Because our creative force is innate. We are born with it. Okay. I think that it's there whether we're focused on it or not. Although, when we've had traumas in our life that, how do I want to put this? Puts twists and turns in our path, and there's a part of us that goes hidden. Okay, then I think that we do need some focus. But I think the focus has more to do with the healing process, right? Actually reaching out and saying, I need to heal this, whatever that trauma is, because the traumas will actually put the bends and the twists in there. It can never put it out, but it can make the path so much more complicated, right? So yeah, in a way we do need focus, but the thing is that it's always there. It's always there. When that kind of really sank in with me, I was thinking that's actually kind of comforting. It really is kind of comforting. And in order to bring it to the surface, we have to focus on our own self-care. Wait, and how many times have you guys heard me say that? Thousands, right? Hundreds. No, I like thousands better. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for that question. And Andrew says, as a cook, I literally use fire as part of my creativity in the kitchen. And what a great metaphor, right, Andrew? What a great metaphor. And it's the fire, yes, and it's your internal fire. Have you ever, as a cook, have you ever had a dish kind of take a turn that you didn't see coming, and you have to recreate it? You have to do something to turn it into the next thing, and that is so creative. Rather than having one kind of dish that you were planning on, something occurs and you have to think on your feet, right? You have to feel it with your heart and say, okay, what can we do to transform this, right? And that's when your creativity can really kick in. And Andrew, have you ever experienced that? I bet you have. And sometimes the best recipes, the best dishes come out of I had to get creative, right? Yeah. Thanks for that, Andrew. That's a great metaphor too. I might use that one, okay, Andrew? In another show. Hey, Kimberly, good to have you here. It's so good to have you here, Kimberly. Makes me happy when I see you in the chat. Good one. Annie's here, asking the ancients for assistance. Yes, always. They're on our spiritual teams. So whenever you call in your team and say, okay, I need help with X, Y, or Z, the ancients are there too. Yep. Our relatives, right? Yeah. Hey, Annie, it's always good to have you here. I'm so glad you could make some time to be with us. She's a busy lady. Barbara is saying, Robert, I have a Oh, hey, Jocelyn. Hello, Jocelyn. Good to have you here. I like your profile picture. And Tabitha is here too. Hello, Tabitha. And what a beautiful profile you've got too. Where is that? Where is that? That is so pretty. And Tabitha, I've got the magazine for you. I just haven't made it to get it shipped out. I'm going to do that yet this week for you. Okay. Yeah. And look who's in the house, but Stephanie herself. Hello, lady. Good to have you here. She and I need to sit down and talk for a while. Barbie says, I'm just getting back into doing things again. After mom passed, I just didn't feel like doing anything. Well, you know what, Barbie? That's okay, right? Grief takes as long as it takes. As long as it takes. And because your creative fire is still there. Is it dormant? Maybe, if you want to use that word on it. It's just healing. It's taking its sweet time because you needed to heal. You needed that time, right, for yourself, to place your energy in the healing process, right? And when our creative fire comes to the surface, we can't stop it. We can't. How many of you ever tried to stop a creative fire in yourself? Right? I tell you what, I have gotten ideas at night, in the middle of the night, and I literally have to get up and at least write down in bullet points, right? And during the daytime, literally I have to take some sort of notes, whether it's drawing a picture or something, just to get it down on a piece of paper so that I can go back and work with it some more, right? Yeah. And, that creative force, my goodness, those are the people that end up sometimes working until the wee hours of the morning on a project because it's just, they lose track of time, right? So don't worry, Barb. Don't worry, Barbara. It's going to be there. It is already there. It's just in divine timing. Divine timing. Yeah. And then you're going to have to let us know what it is that creative force brought to you. In fact, this is a good place, a good segue. Thank you, Barbie. It's a good segue. There is, Clarissa talks about the creative cycle. There's a creative cycle, Barbie, and it's a natural cycle. And this is what Clarissa, what she writes about. She says incubation, birth, zenith, entropy, and then death. And then it starts all over again. Okay. So the incubation is that part of us that, we get this, I wonder if I could do it this way or that way. Or I'm thinking about one of my sisters, gets in, this feeling about the next painting, right? That's the incubation. And then the birth is literally working on it. You can bring it into the physical world, right? It might not be finished, but it's in the physical world. And then that next step is a zenith, and it's really picking up steam. It's really picking up energy. That's the time when a project kind of feels like it's taking on a life of its own, right? Yeah. And then there's the entropy. And the entropy has to do with when you've hit kind of like a maintenance level kind of thing, right? You don't have to put more energy into it to keep it growing, to keep it going, right? It kind of takes on and it keeps going on its own practically, right? And then there comes a time when the energy starts to fade and to fall off, and you might be done with the project. You might be done with whatever that is, and so you can let it go. It's no longer it's finished, basically, right? Right. And then the creative force cycle starts all over again with you get an idea. So, that's it to me, all of nature is in cycles. And we are no different than that. So Barbie, you're in that creative cycle. We all are. And so right now, you could be in an incubation. You could still be at the end of that, where the work that you did with your mom, right, is still energy is not enough for it to be, vital, but you're in that grieving process. And that's okay. It's all right because you're going to come back around to the incubation again. So thanks for that, Barbie. Um, and here's another one that Clarissa writes about. Um, I'm trying to find the one about the leaves because I want to show you something. Oh, it's about the mystical substance, the abuende. It's a creative function that also gives us that aha that we're looking for in life. But she also calls it's something called the breath of the self, and it supports life. In Mexico, they call it something called the leaves of the tree shaking, the unseen force of the creator. Right? So I have something for you. Rob, could we bring that up, please? It's a video that I took in Colorado, Estes Park, no less, Colorado. And if you could take Barbie's, yeah, there you go. Thanks. Got to turn up the sound. Can you hear that? That I was standing on the trail in Estes Park, and actually, I can't remember the name of the park that we were at. Anyway, it was really windy that day, and we had just finished up with a ceremony, and we were kind of heading back. We are all kind of taking our time. It was a quiet walk back. It was a silent walk, and I stood there and watched this tree, and how the wind was moving through the leaves and the shimmering of the leaves as the wind was going through it. And then I closed my eyes and I listened, right? And I thought, oh, this would make a great recording. And so that's when I did the recording. And when I was listening to Clarissa with her book, and she was talking about how the unseen force, and I can't pronounce the word, otherwise I would for you. The unseen force in Spanish it's about the leaves shaking as the wind goes through. And that's what reminded me of that video, right? And so how does this relate to our creative force, our creative fire? Our creative fire, when it's an ember, it needs to be fanned into a flame, right? And so spirit, the creator, can come through that unseen force with the wind that shakes the leaves. And so the creator spirit, our spiritual team, can help us. We have to ask for the help, but they can help us fan that ember into a flame. That's why those two questions that I asked you, is important. is how does your creative fire present itself in the world? And have you claimed your creative fire? Right? Because you can ask your team for that assistance. Yeah. It's a good one. I like that. I did. I had to listen and watch that short clip several times today just to put me back in that place. in the nature. Okay, let's get caught up with people in the chat again. Hey, Deborah's here. Hello, Deborah. Good to have you here. And Barbara is saying, fear to call me creative, not able to show what I do, afraid of criticism. Oh, that's a good one, Barbara. That's a good one. Sometimes feel full and undirected. That criticism, right? All right. So here is something that Polly Jo teaches in one of her classes. And you guys have heard her talk about it in some of her shows. And that's the inner critic. And she has named her inner critic, right? And if we turn our attention to our inner critic, we can actually hear the voice of someone that has been in our life, right? And so if you just kind of turn your attention to it right now, whose voice is that? Whose voice is that? Yeah. So many times that begins in our childhood, young adulthood, carries over into our adulthood, right? Yeah, and really that has more to do with our soul growth than blaming that other person, right? Yeah, it's all about our soul growth. And so, Barbara, that criticism, right? That's about soul growth. Because once you step past it, right? Once you face the fear and you can step past it, just on the other side of that is your deepest desire. It's the stepping past. That is the soul growth. That is the soul growth. You know, and I think that we probably all of us have at least one story about that, right? Yeah. I mean, I didn't write for a really long time is because somebody once told me that you're not a good writer, you know? Wasn't exactly like that, but that's how I took it. That's how I took it. So it took me a long time to write. And when I did start writing again, I'd get comments like, "Have you ever thought about writing? This is really good. Why you should be writing." It's like, and so it is a stepping beyond that, and yeah, and dealing with that critic, right? Yeah. So thank you for that, Barbara, because I think that's a really good point. I think that there's a lot of us out there in the audience that have experienced that. It holds you back. And it's good to name it because once you name it, you know what to call it, then you can face it, right? Yeah. And so, in that facing it, know that you have your spiritual team because they're supporting you. They love you. They love you and waiting for you to ask for the help. And then you have the rest of us. All of us that love you and say that, do it. Do it, do it. What do you love? What is that creative fire within you that you just love to do? Right? I have a good friend, another one of my sisters. She's so talented, but she makes glass beads. She has a torch and everything. Yeah, and kiln, and that's what she loves to do. And I got several earrings from her, glass beads. And so whatever it is, that your creative fire is about, it's an expression of your soul. It's an expression of your soul. So the bigger question then, Barbara, is, how long are you going to allow this to cover your light, right? To turn down the brilliance of your soul. Yeah. Yeah. We want to see you shine. So thanks for sharing that, Barbara, because I think it's really important. Thank you for that. Hey, Deborah, hello there, lady. Carol says, I'm not specifically artistic or musical, though I am thoroughly steeped in both. My creativity seems to be with weaving words and bringing clarity. I can put myself in it. As you have expressed, I can be a professional editor. Oh my goodness, it's good to know that. As a publisher, it's good to know. You're good to know because you never know. I'm going to tap you on the shoulder and say, would you mind? Would you mind? Right. And so, yeah, putting it out there and doing it and doing it. That's one of the reasons why I love the magazine, because I get to write, but I get to be really creative every month. I get to be creative and literally put this being out in the world, right? And that's why I love drum making so much as well, is because that truly is a creative force. Yeah, all about creation, right? Okay, so Annette, who's up? Rob, who's up? Barbara is saying healing and self-care. I'm working with that and notice the difference when I sit in my studio. That's good. That's really, really good, Barbara, because, when we take notice, right? When we notice, sometimes we don't have to do anything else other than that. It's just to notice, acknowledge it, right? It's another good one. Another good one. Rob is saying, in music, 3 mistakes is an arrangement. I like that too. So who is that, a quote from somebody? Let us know who said that, because that's great. 3 mistakes is an arrangement in the musical world. Stephanie says, fair warning, Facebook is marking any post shared too quickly as spam. Really? This started about 2 hours ago. Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. That's okay. They're not going to put out our creative force. They can't. They can't do it. Hello, Rochelle. Good to have you in the house. Good to have you in the house. Here's one line that from Clarissa that, hello, Katrina. Wait. Bring Katrina back. I love your name, Katrina. I do. Hello there. Welcome to the show. There's a line here that Clarissa Pincola Estes, the author of Creative Fire, that she used that I just loved. I had to sit with it for a bit. She says, how to construct our own creative lives from deep inside ourselves rather than the how-to books. Now, they're helpful, but that doesn't mean that they're going to show you the way, because yours is already there. It's all internal. They might help you fan the flame, but they're not really going to show you the way, because you are the way. You're it. And when I read that, I thought, oh my gosh, that our creative self lies in the center of our consciousness since we were born. Our creative self, our creative fire, lies in the center of our consciousness since we were born. It doesn't get more innate than that, does it? Yeah, I like that. And that part of us that can become hidden, okay? There's times when our creative force is out there in the world and everybody can see it. And there's other times when it does go underground a bit. It goes deeper within. And in that cycle, that creative cycle, that has to do with the entropy and the death. That there's a time when our creative fire is deep within. It's not out there in the public. Okay. And it's those times. It's those times where many times we're learning more about ourselves. It's like going within. It's like those times, like on the medicine wheel in the depth of winter in January, when everything is hibernating, right? And if we're living our lives with the cycle of nature, we're more quiet at that time, right? We go within. It's those times that we're really being quiet and sitting in the silence. That doesn't mean our creative fire is out. It just means that it's going within. It's just going within. And sometimes we need that. Sometimes we need that. We need that quiet time. Right? And I think it's a fine line actually between going into the quiet, going into the silence, or as Barbara was saying, is that you're not using your creative fire as much as you'd like because of the criticism, right? And so you have to determine that. You have to discern that for yourself. You have to discern that for yourself. And if you find that it's because of the quietude and the silence, then really embrace that. Really embrace that. And perhaps that is a time for you to rest. Perhaps that is a time for you to, have some joyful times, play, go out there and play, go watch a movie, that kind of thing. And it's okay. It's okay. And if you find that in that discernment that you are hiding, that you are putting a cover over your creative fire to hide, right? Then it's time to do some inner work and some of that healing, that self-care, right? But only you can decide that. Only you can discern that. And only you can ask for help, right? Yeah. It's really good. All right. So, how about if we do a few more? Cindy said, I had a discussion with my sister, and she was so scared of me and my sister's dying from the virus. I had to be creative and help her see things differently. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for that. I mean, Cindy, you really did use your creative gifts, definitely. And you actually was of service to someone else so that you can calm the fears. You can help them kind of shift that, right? That is good. That is really, really good. Yeah, and we all know that there's a whole lot of fear going on out there, right? And so that those of us that are awake on our spiritual journey, it's important that we ground, right? And I'm sure, Cindy, you knew this, and that's why you could do the work that you did. That soul work right there. To be able to be grounded, centered, and protected so that you can help somebody like that, right? So as an empath, you're not taking it on, but you can actually utilize your gift to help shift that energy, right? And not take it on, passes through you, right? So thank you for sharing that, Cindy. That is really true love right there. It really is, because you're doing your soul work. Good one. I like it. I like it a lot. Tabitha says, okay, I'm not sure what that means. Tabitha says, it's a lake, a kayak. Oh, okay, good. Western Kentucky. It's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. And it's that imagery, right? That imagery of Grandmother Earth. It's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. Tabitha's profile pic reminds me of the Madeline Islands in Lake Superior. I know. Actually, I was thinking it was someplace in Wisconsin or Michigan. That looks so familiar, doesn't it? Feels the same too. Mm-hmm. Andrew says, I'm constantly being creative, from recipes to cooking techniques. What to do when ingredients are missing, and how to cook something differently if equipment breaks or if you don't have the proper pan. Oh, you're so creative. You really are. And Andrew, you have the greatest metaphor for that creative fire, right? I love it. We're going to use that one. Hey, Rochelle's here too. Yay. And she's cooking with fire, right? That's an old saying. Cooking with gas. And Cindy saying, my ancestors are from there. Oh, okay. From Kentucky. Is that what you're talking about? From Kentucky? Mm-hmm. Or from Madeline Islands. I think it meant Madeline Island. Yeah. I'm thinking about the discussion or that text stuff, the messages we were sending. She says, I use others in my creativity, but put more heads together. And sometimes that's good, isn't it? They used to call it brainstorming, right? Have you heard the term? Now, this is kind of an old term now, but heart storming. Oh, sorry. My notifications is too dang loud. Yeah, the heart storming, right? That when we start a conversation, right, sometimes we can get some really good ideas and put together a really good plan. I think to me, there's nothing better than that. I love having these kind of conversations. So thank you for that, Cindy. Thank you. Thank you. I want to make sure I covered what I wanted to cover tonight. What is the name of the book? It's called The Creative Fire. We can put that in the chat. Creative Fire. Whoops. Let's see if it'll load for me. Creative Fire by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. There we go. Yeah, it's a good book. I got it as an audible book, and it's a 2-hour listening. So it's not very. I think it's like 3 chapters, long chapters, but it's good. It's really good. Okay, so I just want to make sure. Oh, here she says the hidden one, which is that's what she calls the creative fire. Okay. The hidden one goes underground or to the other world and unable to follow the path of creation. This is when she's talking about when the path of creation becomes twisted or bended. And that's when we have those traumas in our lives that we haven't addressed yet. And so sometimes those twists and those bends in the physical world we call a writer's block, for instance. Okay. And so what she's saying is that the creative fire, that creative part of us, and I'm going to tell it, it's the inner child. It's our inner child. Goes underground, goes deep within, right? Because they're unable to follow that path because it's become so twisted or bended. Right? But the inner fire, the creative fire can never go out. It can never go out. It can become an ember, and that ember can be fanned into a flame. So that's why our healing work is vitally important in so many ways that we've talked about in I don't know how many different ways we can say it, right? But our inner work, our healing work, our healing our inner child traumas is really, really important. Really important. And so that it affects how we create. It affects our creative cycle. Our creative fire can never go out, but it can go underground for a while. Yeah. Yeah. Makes you think, doesn't it? Makes you think. All right. So who's next, Rob? Carol says, I have found this also. I've been sharing free online resources for friends with kids who are home from school and need help finding things. I saw that. Museums and virtual tours, Zoo Panda cams, and stuff like that. I have had the ones today I flagged, and I gotta go up and scroll up so I can read the rest of it. Let's see, and appealed the call by. Wait, I'm sorry. I've had the ones today flagged and blocked, even though I have appealed the call. Okay. So this is what Stephanie was talking about, right? So yeah, that's Facebook's I don't want to call them rules, I guess. Yeah, you can only put so many posts out about something. And so even if you do it one after another, that will trip the trigger, the trap. The trap. It'll trip the trap. So if you can kind of space them out, like one or two, and then, wait for a while, half hour, something like that, and then do another couple. But if you do them rapid fire, one after another, yeah, they don't like that. Rules. But thank you so much, Carol, because it's more important that you're doing that. It's very important. And it's just really, yeah, learning the rules, right? Learning the rules. And then you're helping so many kids out there. So keep doing it, but don't do the rapid fire. Space them out a bit. All right, thank you for that. Cindy is saying, you amaze me all the time with your insight. Well, thank you, and thank you so much. I'll take the compliment, but really it's my spiritual team. Yeah, we're working together. And before every show, I'm sitting there and I'm talking with them and I'm asking them to please help me to share what's most important to share, right? And so as as your statements are coming up, and they're helping me deliver the message. So thank you so much, Cindy. It's teamwork. It's teamwork. Yeah. Please do. Okay, we're running a little bit slower than you guys are putting your comments in, so I'm not sure which one that goes with. Barbara's saying, because of you and your programs, I am more in touch with my spiritual team. I often just listen. Well, good. That's great, Barbara. And and isn't that a conversation? A real conversation is one person talks, the other one listens, and then you switch, right? And so you're listening to their side of the conversation, and then when it bounces back to you, you can ask the questions, right? You can have carrying on a conversation with them, and you're right now you're in the listening mode. I think that's great. Yeah, and just to turn, because they're with us all the time. I talk to mine all the time, all the time. Sometimes out loud, and sometimes not. Sometimes it's just quietly in my own brain that we're having this conversation. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Stephanie say, apparently it is a virus affecting Facebook. Really? All kinds of viruses. That's something, isn't it? There's no mistakes. All right. So Rob is saying, I read it spoken from James Hetfield. Okay, James Hetfield, because that is a great quote. Cindy says, depression can put the fire out. Okay. I'm going to say it again, Cindy. I beg to differ. Okay. It can never go out. It can never go out. It's still there. It's an ember. It might not be the flame, but it's still an ember. It can never go out. Just like you can never lose your intuition, right? The gifts that the Creator gave you as a soul coming into this life can never go away. You can turn them down. You can't turn them off. You can put them on simmer, using the cooking term, right? That metaphor, but they can never go away. It's there as a tiny ember, but it's still there, waiting for the unseen forces, that wind, that breeze to come to shake the leaves, right? So it's still there. And I have to say, Cindy, that and I haven't known you all that long, but after sharing what you did for your sister, yeah, you got a flame going there, lady. It's not a tiny ember. So, and I'm not discounting that depression can affect it, because it can. It can. It's the twists and the bends in the cycle, right? Caused by trauma. And so we have to turn our attention then to what's the trauma? How can I heal this? And it really is all inner child work. It really is. Our creative fire is directly connected to our inner child. And there's a part of me that feels like the term creative fire is just another way of naming our inner child. Yeah. So, and I know you've done a whole lot of work already. So, Cindy, thank you. Thank you for your comment. Now we're waiting for Rob because it takes a little bit. Kimberly says, yes, interestingly enough, I put up some posts on my business page to let people know what they can still do in the times of isolation. Yeah. It's really interesting. Like I said, there's no coincidences, right? There's no mistakes. So, and when I started the show, I was saying, many of us have been taken out of our normal routine. Some have been shaken out of their normal routine, and nudged into a place that's kind of uncomfortable, right? Because of the virus, what we have to do to slow down the epidemic, right? The pandemic. And it's funny that they're calling whatever this is that's going on with Facebook as a virus. Yeah. Let's connect the dots, right? So thank you, Kimberly, for sharing. Cindy said Madeline Island and the Ojibwa. Yeah. After I said Kentucky, I thought, no, she's talking about her ancestry that you shared with me. So yeah. And Madeline Island is a sacred place for the Ojibwa, for the Anishinaabeg. Yes, it is. Yep. That's the name of the book. It's a good one. Get a chance if you were looking for a new book to read, that'd be good. Carol says good information about posting. Thank you. And it's my contribution. Yes, it is. And it's very helpful. So don't stop. Just space it out a bit. Okay. Space it out a bit. Because I shared a couple of yours. Barbara's saying, I have given so much time to others in my life and now finding how important it is to give that time to me. And I'm still interested and care about others. That helps me see myself better. I can help others see their qualities and make me feel very good. Exactly. It's a balance, right, Barbara? It's the balance of giving and receiving. It's the balance of giving and receiving. And sometimes it takes a good portion of our life to learn that about balance, right? Yeah. I'm still learning. Sometimes I find myself giving a lot more to my mom, right? And the balance is off. And so then I have to get back into balance. It's an ongoing cycle. So thank you for sharing that, Barbara, because I think that's another important point in the conversation. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're at the top of the hour already. And Carol's saying, I will be happy to proofread or edit if you need it. I have done this for professional journal submissions and academic purposes. Well, I am certainly going to keep track of that one, Carol. I really am. Because we know we can always use another editor. Always. Good stuff. Thank you for offering. Barbara saying, wow, I did a lot of inner child work with others. Yes, me too. Me too. What's that old saying is that we can't get out of our life without doing our inner child work, or no, I can't remember the quote now. So it's an old cliche. But anyway, we all have something that we have to heal. All of us. It's about our soul growth. It has nothing to do with the blame or anything like that. It's a way for us to grow, right? Oh my gosh, I should have turned down my notifications. I'm sorry about that, guys. All right. So I would like to share with you just two more things. And that is talking about manifesting and talk about the creative force. Ed Langdon. How many of you guys were with me on Sunday afternoon when Ed was with me on the show on Sunday afternoon, and he led us in the tapping? We had such a good conversation, and that tapping was something else, wasn't it? It moved a lot of energy. It was about releasing fear. It was about releasing fear, and it was so helpful. So helpful. Ed's class is coming up on Saturday, March 21st. And the class that he's teaching is online here at Star Nations Academy. It's called True Creation and the Law of Attraction. And one of the things he's going to be talking about is how is manifesting frustrating? And what causes that? And how to get rid of it, right? And so it's online. It's one of 4 classes that we're teaching through Star Nations Academy online, and so his is the second one, and that's on Saturday. You still have time to register for it. You get 4 classes. The first one was with Maureen Mann. It was angelic manifesting with angelic assistance, I believe that was called. And so with that registration, you will also receive her recorded class. So no matter when you register, you're still going to get all 4 classes. Okay. And then it actually culminates, if you'd like to join us in May in Massachusetts for the in-person class, where you're going to get all 4 of us in person. But anyway, Ed's class is coming up on Saturday. If you'd like to join us, you can go to Star Nations website, click on the Academy page. And Rob, if you could put the link in the comments, that would be helpful. And so hopefully you'll be able to join us. It's going to be a good class. I got to take a look at the workbook that he's going to be sharing with you guys, and it is so helpful. It is so helpful. So we're going to be doing that class by Zoom, and so you can join us. Okay. All right. Thank you, Rob. Now, the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys, just in case you didn't know, is that the March issue of Star Nations magazine is available. Right? This is the part of me, my creative fire. This is it. I love doing this magazine, and so the March issue is available, and I hope you guys like it. There's so much good information in here. That our contributing writers are also show hosts. Most of them are, and they're all spiritual teachers. And so, talk about being a creator, co-creating. That's what we do every month with this magazine. So March issue available, and it's available as a digital for your phone, tablet. You can also get it on your laptop and on your desktop, and it's also available in print as well. So no matter how you like to read, we got it for you. And so, Rob, if you can put the Be.Live link in the comments, that would be helpful too. All right. So I just want to tell you thank you so much for being with me this evening, and having this spiritual conversation about our creative fire, and that it can never go out. It can never go out. But it's also very important for us to do our self-care, to do our healing work, to heal those mental and emotional traumas so that our creative fire, our inner child, can follow that path of that cycle. That's that cycle of creation, right? And so that we can shine our soul out there and be helpful and of service to others. That's a good one, right? All right. So thank you so much for being with me this evening. And thank you, Rob, for producing. Appreciate it. Bama Mina, that's Potawatomi for. Until we see each other again. Love you guys.